Okay, all those who are absent, also known as the band members, please remember that you are responsible for this material. So you may be missing the lesson, but you're responsible for these notes by watching the notes, completing the assignment. Um, you can come in Monday if you have questions, Monday morning or Monday afternoon, but it needs to be done. Um, so what we're going to start with in this chapter is we start solving these equations. So today we're solving exponentials. So the definition of solving an exponential, that's where x is in the exponent. So typically when you solve anything, you use the inverse, not the inverse, the opposite to solve. For instance, you want to isolate something, you do the opposite operation. So we're going to use that same idea here to solve for x. We're eventually going to use the opposite operation to solve for x. So I'm going to write some steps out to the side. So notice that there's two things. We're going to give an exact solution and an approximate solution. And I'll get to that when we start one. So your first step is to isolate the base and its exponent. Sorry, it's star day and they're coming on a lot. So just give me a second. So, awesome. So what I like to do, I'm going to try to talk over her. I like to box in my base and my exponent. So now I know, man, sorry. Holy smokes. Thanks for being patient. Do 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 do. Thank goodness. Okay. So we have our base and our exponent. So I like to box it in. So what I'll do then is I need to move the 5. So I'm going to move the 5 by dividing by 5. That's an opposite operation. So what we have now is an exponential. Well, actually, specifically, an e. So what is something that goes with e that's the opposite of e? Well, that would be ln. So what we're going to do, and we learned this on Wednesday, the properties of logs and natural logs, is that when I ln both sides, what's going to happen is I'm going to drop this exponent down in front. That's our properties of logs and natural logs. Now, what I want you to do, well, what you're going to watch me do, is I'm going to show you holy...
Coach Myers, and Coach Sherman, please report to the testing area and pick up your testing materials.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So, what I'm going to show you is that ln e is something very basic, actually. So, if I was, give my calculator a second, if I was to type in ln and then an e, wrong e, sorry. Oops, I'm having some trouble. But I'm going to delete this exponent here. If I type in ln e, it is 1. It'll always be 1. That's because the base of ln is e. So ln e is always going to be 1. So anytime you have ln e, personally, if it's 1, why can't I just cross it off? So over here, I'm going to bring in over ln 2 equals 4x. So our last step to really get x by itself is divide by 4. So here's what I'm going to show you. Our exact answer is ln 2 over 4. And you're thinking, now that's exact? Yeah, that is exact because we have it rounded. Remember, logs and natural logs tend to be these decimals that go on and on and on because it's a value. And so this is the exact. Okay, now we'll find the rounded to the thousandths place. That's 3 places past. So I take my calculator and I type in what I have. So you could do it all at once or one at a time. So ln 2 and then divide by 4.173. Again, you can do that in one step or separately. It doesn't matter. Okay, so there is our exact and our rounded. Okay, so let's try a next one. So I like to box in my base and its exponent. Wow, that's blurry. Okay, so obviously I want to isolate the 5 to the x. So how do I do that is by adding 4. So 5 to the x equals 11. Then, okay, so the opposite of e was ln. So what's the opposite of something exponential? The log. So when I log both sides, I'm going to put that exponent in front because of our properties of logs. Okay, so whenever I do that, I really just have to divide by log 5. Now, I'm going to write the exact. I'm going to write the rounded. Now, I don't actually like writing them like this. Because according to our, okay, so the last test we typed logs in the calculator to evaluate to get the approximate. Well, this can be really written as log base 5, 11. We learned that in order to type this in the calculator, it would be log 11 divided by log 5. Well, this is how I want you to write it. This is something we've done in the calculator before, and if you haven't, or you may have forgotten, but you have. So this is the exact.
Coach Carter and Coach Garcia, you're needed in the testing room to pick up your testing
It's
material.
awesome day to record.
Coach Carter and Coach Garcia.
Alright, so in order to type it in, though, I'm going to type log 11 over log 5. So I grab my calculator. Now, in that case, both bases are 10. So log base 10, 11, divided by log base 10, 5. Okay, and that's the approximate. So that would be 1.490. 3 places past. Alright, so we're just actually just practicing the same stuff. So I'm going to box in my base and its exponent. I'm going to move the 5 and the 2. So I'm going to subtract 5, 75, 2e to the x minus 1, divided by 2, e to the x minus 1 equals 37.5. Then I'm going to ln both sides, and when I ln both sides, I'm going to bring down this exponent. So it'll be x minus 1 ln e equals ln 37.5. Notice when we log or ln both, we ln or log, we do it to both sides. You have to do it both sides. Now we learned that ln e is really 1, so we don't have to write that. I guess if you wanted to type it every time, great. That seems like a waste of time. So all we have left is x minus 1 equals ln 37.5. So my last step would be to add 1. So my exact answer is x equals ln 37.5 plus 1. Now notice when I add 1, it's going to be after I finish doing the ln at 37.5. So let's find that exact answer. So ln, and by the way, your phone, if you don't have a calculator, your phone can do this. So can any online calculator. Okay, 35. I need to get out of there to add 1. So you can do it like this. 4.624. Alright, so then next one. Wow. It's the best notes being interrupted so many times. The next one is going to be an exponential, not an e. So I'm going to log both sides and bring down my exponent. I always do a cursive L because it looks like a 1 if I don't. So so remember this drops in front and then you log both sides. So I'm going to divide by log 6 first. So I'm going to rewrite this as log 612, log base 6 of 12, and then my last step is divide by 3. So my exact answer, I think you would prefer exact, because honestly it's less work, meaning less typing stuff. Okay, so that's the exact. But to type this in, up top, I'm going to do log 12 divided by log 6, press enter, and then divide by 3. So you're going to see log base 10, 12, divided by log base 10, 6. Okay, and I'm not done now, because now I'll divide that answer by 3. It's best if you kind of separate when you do your calculator stuff. It may not know what you're wanting. So 0.462. No, I feel like, oh yeah, 0.462. Okay, next one. Okay, we have an E, which means we're going to ln both sides, ln 250. Cross off L and E, because that's really 1. So the first step would be to multiply by 3, because I can't do anything on top before I get rid of this. So 2x minus 1 equals 3 times, times ln 250. Okay, so then my last steps would be add 1, divide by 2. So add 1, divide by 2. So I have x equals 3 ln 250, add 1, divide by 2. Done. Exact answer. So how do we type this? Well, we can actually type all the numerator in at the same time and then divide by 2. So it's 3 ln 250 plus 1. Got that. And then divide by 2. 8.782. 8.782. You're going to be asked to do both exact and rounded on the test and quiz. So make sure you understand both. Feel free to go over that. Watch it again if it helps. Get with a buddy to go over it, and a friend, whatever. Alright, so let's go to the back. So that was solving exponentials. We'll get to solving logs on Monday. So on the back, we're writing inverse equations. Well, we kind of already touched on this, right? So with inverse equations, you switch x and y and solve for y. Now, they are exponentials today. We touched on it on the review. So let's go back and review what we'll do. So I switched x to y and solve for y. So what I need to do is get rid of the 1/2. So to get rid of it, this is using a lot of previous knowledge. So if you've learned it and stored it away, might want to dig that out. Or if you never learned it. So I flip that to the other side. So then it's x squared equals 3 to the y plus 1. So then I'll subtract 1. X squared minus 1 equals 3 to the y. Now, just like the front, to get an exponent down, the opposite of something exponential. Now, reason this is exponential, it's the exponent has a letter. Again, the exponent has a letter, which makes it exponential. So to get it down, I'm going to log both sides. So what happens is I log x squared minus 1, and when I log 3 to the y, I'm going to put that y in front. Okay, and then now I'm going to divide by log 3. Well, I talked about it on the front, and we talked about it last chapter. What happens is when I have a log divided by a log and a number, I can really write it log base 3 x squared minus 1. So this number just jumps up to be the base on the numerator. That's just how we evaluate logs. What happens with it? It's a formula, essentially, to evaluate dividing by a log. Okay, so that's our equation. Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to practice this 3 times. So first thing we do is we switch x and y and solve for y. Adding 1, or excuse me, subtracting 1, divide by 4. And I don't really mind. You can write it 1/4 x minus 1/4. You can leave it x minus 1 over 4. That doesn't matter to me. Now, to get the exponent down, we will log both sides. So, log x minus 1 over 4 equals y minus 2 log 5. So our last 2 steps will include dividing by log 5 and adding 2. We'll do those separately. Log 5, divide by log 5. So when I divide by log 5, it's going to change this equation to log base 5 x minus 1 over 4. And then my last step would be to add 2. So I'm just going to stick that behind my log, and I am solved. Alright, so the last 2 are e's, which means I will use ln, because they go together. You can even see on the calculator that they are the same buttons. This is comical now. Okay, add 8. Divide by 7. I'm doing the same kind of steps over and over and over. So, I'm running out of room. I'm going to come over here. X plus 8 over 7 equals e to the 6y. I'm going to ln x plus 8 over 7. 6y ln e gets to come down. Awesome. So, I'm going to keep working. ln gets crossed off because that is 1. And my last step is divide by 6. It is extremely ugly, kind of like these video notes are with all the interruptions. But this is the answer. This is, you can also write it if you're wondering. 1/6 ln x plus 8 over 7 is the same thing. So it doesn't matter to me which way you write it. I kind of like this way, but that's up to you. Keep working. Okay, so switch x and y. Let me keep solving while she's talking. Subtract 2. I guess I picked the wrong time to video my notes. Alright, so our last step, I did the wrong thing. So we need to multiply by 3. So what happens is when I multiply by 3, I can put it here. I guess I could put it behind, but that doesn't really look nice. So let me rewrite that. So y equals 3 ln x minus 2 over negative 4. And that's it. Now you can write this. And that would mean the same thing. I hope you know that means the same thing. So again, you are responsible for these notes, learning the material. I'm saying the same thing in class. So you're not missing anything. Make sure when you do these that you're not distracted. I should have said that in the beginning. Maybe rewatch them if you were distracted, because you are responsible for this material. And to take the quiz next Wednesday. All right. I hope y'all have a great weekend, and I will see y'all on Monday.